to start off, in order to start logs, you're going to need to download the client. And the client I have brought up right here. So if you look at my screen that I'm sharing, um, you just want to go to esologs.com/client /download, and you want to download this for whatever you have. I only know how to do it on Windows, so that's what that is. After you download that, it'll ask you a couple of different questions about what, like where you want to save it and things like that. Let's see if I change windows. You guys can see right here, this is what the client actually looks like. You just want to save it into your Elder Scrolls Online, your live, and then your logs. Um, this right here is your personal logs. If you are joining any guilds that is a part of the ESO logs, this is not like in-game guilds. This is ESO logs guilds. So if you join any of those will appear right here. What this is over here, private, you have public, private, and listed. Public means that anybody can see it. You just go to esologs.com and you can find it there. Private means that you can only see it if you are part of the guild. If there's no guild and it's just personal logs, you can only see it if you have the hypertext link. What unlisted means is that you absolutely have to have that link in order to find it. Right here is included the entire fight in the report. I'm going to encourage you to turn this off. The other thing that some people will do instead of live log right here is they'll do the upload a log. What upload a log is that if you have a computer that you don't want to, like, it bogs down or something whenever you're in a trial or something, you probably don't want to do a live log. You want to upload a log later. Live logs basically downloads the trial as it's happening, and then it's like downloading it to ESO logs. So in the middle of the trial, you can open up logs, you can see what's going on with like maybe a pull or something of a delay. Upload a log, it doesn't actually upload it um, to the website until after you after the trial you um, I got distracted on what I was saying. After the trial, you hit encounter log, you come here, you find the file, and then you hit go, and then it uploads it all at once. The way that this works is that you would type in whatever you want your name to be, you hit go, and then inside the game, in your game chat, you would want to hit / encounter log, just like that. And then you'll see in your chat screen, it'll say encounter logs like enabled. And then at the end of the trial, you want to start / encounter log again, and then that'll say encounter logs disabled. Um, some tips to do, to think about. Make sure that your group is fully grouped up, that everybody is in their correct roles. So healers are healers, tanks are tanks, DPS are DPS, and that you are like loaded into the trial before you click encounter log. The reason for that is because you can have some problems where you can have people that are in like the public zone that aren't even a part of your party can be showing up in logs if you like started in Vardenville or something like that. And then if somebody is a healer, they're switching over to a DPS or a tank, they're switching over to whatever, they can pop up as like a healer and a tank and a DPS. And so if you just wait until everybody is the right role, you're in the trial, and then you start it, everything should be nice and clean. That is the start of that. But let's go into some actual logs and look at that. Am I sharing the right screen? I am. All right. Did you guys have any questions about what I was just talking about?
Do you know if that is kind of how people get mislabeled in logs? Is that they're just labeled incorrectly in the group?
So it can happen that way if they're mislabeled. It can also, what I've seen happen is if they're like healing a crap ton, or if they're, I don't know, maybe taking a lot of aggro or something. Um, I've also seen people like be multiple things. Like I've seen a tank also show up as a healer.
Hmm.
Uh, but I honestly
Yeah, because
haven't.
we've we've seen before where like our top parsing DPS is also labeled a tank for some reason, and we're just sitting there like, why?
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while, but I do know that waiting until everybody is in the trial and everything like that can help like prevent that for the
Hmm.
most part.
What's the size of a typical log file for a whole trial?
I don't know. I want to say like maybe a couple of megabytes. It's not like a lot. It's
Oh,
definitely not
hold
like a
on.
gig or anything like that. Yeah.
Okay.
The largest one I have on hand is 400,000 kilobytes.
Oh,
All right.
kilobytes. So yeah,
All right. They're small. Very
yeah,
small.
definitely small. But you will definitely notice it if you're taking a live log, in a trial versus not taking a live log. It can bog down your computer depending on
Okay.
what you're running. Um, so what you're seeing right here, I pay for the subscription, so mine looks a little bit different. Um, yeah, it's really similar though. Um, let's try to find some logs though. Uh, I don't even know. This one was a. Actually, no, I don't want to do that one. Let's do Mooncat.
Are these the same logs that when you click on a link in a Discord channel, it shows up the same way?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Um, if you ever take logs, you can also see at the top, it'll be about like right here or so. You can change it. There's a little lock, and you can change it between like private and public. Because I pay for the subscription, mine's a little different. It's over here in the settings, but I can make this public because right now I think it's private. Um, but let's see here. Uh, let's go with this one. All right, so as soon as you can open up the logs, you're going to see the encounter, the trash fights. You're going to see each one of the bosses that you pulled. If you look at each one of the bosses that you pulled, if you have pulled multiple times, it's going to show multiple pulls, and then it's going to show the clear. If ever it shows up that like a clear happened, but like it had like 0.0%, but it was a wipe, what that tends to mean is that the boss died to a dot. But it's still like a clear. So if I go to here, this is the summary of everything that happened. Um, so in the summary, you can see all the different people that are, what they did, the damage done by the source. You can see the healing done by the source. You can see the deaths, and you can see the damage taken by ability. As far as the summary goes, it's just as a quick rundown of kind of how much damage people are dealing, all that kind of stuff right there. Scrolling down, you can see people's character name and their at name. And then if you click on individual people, you can actually see what gear they had on. Um, so go to summary and right here. So I was wearing Catalyst and Depths. These are my this is my front bar. This is my back bar. Um, that's what did the most damage. That's healing done by ability. So it's all kind of pretty self-explanatory. Um, and then all of these are kind of self-explanatory too. So this is damage done. This is what damage I did. If I go to like change this to all sources, this is how much damage that each individual did. You have damage taken, healing, threats, buffs, all these different things. Um, the next thing to talk about would probably be healing, because it's kind of the easiest thing to understand. If you go to healing, what you're looking at right now is the heals per second. Um, and this person right here, they did like 5.7k. This person right here, they did 4.9k. If I go over here and I click overheal though, that'll kind of give more of a raw heals per second. And sometimes your healing per second and your overheal can be two completely different things. Healing per second is how much, or sorry, raw, blah, 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 blah. Overhealing, this is a good indication of like how active the healer is laying down multiple hots and how like much their healing is actually healing. Whereas if you have overheal not clicked, what you're going to have is this is just heals per second. So if a healer is spamming like radiating regen a ton, their heals per second right here might put them like in top. But then if you go to overheal, the other person might be up top because they were casting more dots or more hots on the ground. They had more things going, and they had more casts per minute. Um, Generally you want to look at the overheal to kind of designate like which healer is actually healing more. Only because this means that this is how much they're actually healing per second versus the non-overheal, which is healing people whenever they took damage. This is basically like how active they are as a healer. Um, the next thing to talk about would be the buffs and the debuffs. Um, This isn't as helpful for people that are just doing the DPS stuff and they're just wondering about their damage. What this comes in hand is for support players. So if you're doing a DPS support set like Alkosh or Martial Knowledge or any of those things, or if you're a tank and you're doing Yolnagren, or if you're a healer and you're doing Spell Power Cure, you kind of have to know how the set works. To know which one of these you want to select. So Spell Power Cure, it gives Minor Berserk and Minor Resolve. If I want to look at what my Minor Berserk uptimes were, it's a buff to the group. So I click on buff, and then that will show me all of the buffs that everybody got. But I can change this to sources, and I can go to my actual healer that was in Spell Power Cure, and that will give me what they gave me. Minor Berserk uptimes, 69.80%. That right there is an overall buff uptime
So,
of that entire fight. Yeah.
Minor Berserk comes from Combat Prayer.
Combat
Major
prayer.
Courage is.
Major courage, you're right. I got was just yep, you're right. Uh
So that player 70% of the time had that buff running on the group
yep,
for the whole fight.
yep.
All right.
Um but let's
But
talk about
technically, it's on one person at for 69% of the time, like not on every
yeah,
person.
yeah, yep. I was gonna so if you click on the actual minor berserk, so this is combat prayer like Mr. Pineapple Man was saying, you can actually see the uptimes per person. And like they were saying, so the healer had 69.77% of time, but if you come all the way down to here, like this person only had 25% uptime. This person only had 23% uptime of that combat prayer. In a trial, a lot of things can affect. Oh, and this is also, since we're looking at combat prayer, this is combat prayer from just this healer. If we look at the other healer, which, who's the other healer? Is this person? Um, there's no data. Sometimes it does that. I have no idea why. Um, but yeah, let's go back to this. This is just telling me that probably, oh no, you didn't, Raiden was standing on one side and they were hitting combat prayer on those groups of people, but it wasn't able to hit these people over here as easily. But that's how the buff stuff works. Um, let's see. So all abilities. Major Courage. Major Courage is just an overheal, so that should have been healing almost everybody most of the time. Um, these people right here are probably standing really in a bad spot for them to be able to get healed. Or sometimes deaths can lower that uptime. But that is buffs. The next thing would be like a debuff. If you want to talk about a debuff, let's see, who was my tank? High 8. So, actually, if we're talking about debuffs, what we want to do is we want to look at enemies and then look at the sources. So you're looking at debuffs on the enemies from which person. So I'm coming over here and this is high 8 gave debuffs to the enemies. Um, let's see, let's go with Crusher uptimes. Crusher uptimes, you can see that their uptimes was 79.99%. If I actually look at Crusher on the actual boss, it was only 65.67%. So I click on them. Um, well, that was a bad choice for that. But you kind of want to understand how buffs work and debuffs work per set. Let's see, what was this guy wearing? Um, High 8 was wearing PA. I don't want to actually look at that. I want to look at the other tank. Tonker Bell. So,
Was me.
yep. So I want to look at debuffs on the enemies from all sources caused by Tonkerbell. He was causing major vulnerability, and you can see right here that he had 48.78% major vuln on Butcher and 9% on this person. And that is due to his set that he was wearing, which was probably TT, Turning Tide.
Yep, Turning Tide.
Yep, yep. So really just understanding buffs and debuffs is that way. And then let's go with like a DPS, but double checking that was me. So like looking at a DPS, Elemental Catalyst is a weakness of elements, so it's a debuff that is on the enemies. It's from Sources of Me. I can see my flame weakness was 97%, shock was 72, and frost was 58. Um, so you can see kind of the breakdown of like who had what, how much of which weakness. So that's kind of how you can look at a DPS's buffs or debuffs sometimes. Alkosh would be considered a buff, and that's probably one I want to talk about as well. I want to say it's, I don't remember what trials this person. Yep. So Midnight Bed Banana. Let's go.
Gee.
On enemies, all sources, Midnight Bed Banana. So Alkosh is right here, this 60.11% uptime. However, the actual debuff that is caused on enemies is this Line Breaker debuff. 99% of the time, these two buffs are going to be almost exactly the same. It's not really anything to worry about, but Line Breaker is the actual debuff that is caused from Alkosh. So if I click on this, 60% uptime on the boss, just under 10% on the Sea Adder. So, all right. So moving on, talking about the ways that you can use logs as a DPS or a healer or a tank to improve. One way is to look at your cast. Sorry, change this to friendlies. Look at your cast. So if I'm looking at my healer and I'm seeing their cast up times, this is cast per minute. So Combat Prayer was cast 9.9.5 times in a minute over the course of 2.5 minutes. What you can do as a healer, take Illustrious Healing, for example. Illustrious Healing has it's a cooldown of 12 seconds. Divide 12 divided by 60, or 60 divided by 12, you get 5. So perfect uptimes would be 5 casts per minute. If this person had casted Illustrious Healing like 9 times per minute, that probably means that they're overcasting it. Overcasting means that they were casting that when they could have been casting something else. It means that they were casting that whenever they were and they were draining their magicka or their stamina or whatever they were using for the resource. They were using that when they didn't need to use it. So trying to get your cast per minute kind of as close as you can to how many is like potentially possible for 100% uptime in a minute is what you're kind of going to aim for. And that's just looking at a healer. I can look at the exact same thing as a DPS. Sorry, change that to cast. Look at Necro Daddy. Boneyard is, so yeah, Boneyard right there. Boneyard is also 10 seconds. That should be 6, if I'm doing the math right. Is that math right? Last 10 seconds, 60 divided by 10.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I'm basically casting Boneyard half as much as I should be. So that's something as a DPS can be like, okay, I need to improve. I need to be keeping my uptimes in my Boneyard in order to increase that, the damage that can actually output. So let's change to a little bit more of some advanced stuff that you can do with logs and uptimes. Let's see. This might not be a good log to show it. No, I'm going to change logs real fast just to this one, a pretty positive. Um, Nope, that's not going to be it. Let's do this. I know for a fact that this has it. So this guy right here is in Martial Knowledge. The Martial Knowledge, while your stamina is below 50%, your light attacks cause enemies to take 8 additional damage for 5 seconds. So there's a couple different things that you kind of want to know. You want your stamina to be below 50%, and you also want to be light attacking. And you also know it to cause the enemy to take additional 8% damage, so it's a debuff. So what I want to do is I want to look at debuffs on enemies from Kazdar. And if I look at that, I can see Way of Martial Knowledge. So if I'm looking at this, I'm saying, okay, his MK uptimes were 17%. Why was it 17%? Why did he have a gap right here? Did he have a gap right here, here, and here? So what I can do is I can hit this plus sign right here, And what that does is it takes like a screen snapshot of this timeline right here. And then, okay, let's look at resources. Maybe his stamina it wasn't low enough. So look at stamina. Oh, whoops, hold on. On friendlies, look at stamina. Let's get rid of those people and let's look at him. Okay, so you can see like right here, he pretty much had pretty good stamina low, except for right here, his stamina went above 50%, so he couldn't have procced it right there. But for the most part, like right here, and this is, like if I'm looking right here, it lines up exactly here to here. All of this, his MK uptime should have been mostly good, except for maybe a little bit right here. So I'm like, okay, so that was decently good. So I'm going to take a screenshot or a little snapshot of his stamina. Uh, Go back and look at his stamina. So there it is. And then I want to look at his casts. So if I'm looking at his cast, hold on, I gotta, sometimes this is a little screwy. There we go. So look at his cast. And I just want to be looking at his light attack. So light attack on his dual wield, light attack on his two-hander. So then you can kind of see that he wasn't light attacking between here and here. So even though he was below 50%, he didn't light attack, so obviously he didn't proc MK. Right here, he could have probably procced MK, but he was just probably right in that above 50%, so it didn't actually happen. Right here, another gap, no below 50%, but no light attacks, so he didn't proc it. Um, so it's kind of a little bit more of an advanced way to know, like look at things in depth, is to take snapshots of these and then kind of look at multiple things at once. Um, kind of went over a lot right there. Is there any questions, any thoughts?
Where was the snapshot? Or did you just manually
So,
drag?
no. So, let's see if I can do this. So, debuff on enemies. Actually, I'm going to get rid of these snapshots. I'm going to show you again like how I got it. So, debuffs on enemies from him. So, if I want to take a snapshot of martial knowledge right here on Zajata, I click on this little plus sign right here.
Oh, okay.
And that will actually put it in a little snapshot right here. This separate here, right here,
Yes, essentially it makes a new little window for it.
that you can carry on to other windows. And then you can go into multiple different sources or multiple different tabs to get those. Actually, that's what I should have just done. So, yeah. Any other questions? All right, sounds good. Let's see, the last little bit, let's see, events. Events are a good thing to know if you're in a trial and you're like, I'm just not exactly sure like what's going on, what's killing me, what exactly is happening. Events is basically a like second by second, millisecond by millisecond breakdown of everything that happens. If I want to look at specifically the tank, I can change this to the tank, which let's see, that's a tank. Change this to a tank. I can see exactly what happened, what the tank was doing, or if something affected the tank, like what exactly happened. And that is just like a very easy like point by break. Um, this right here is the next thing I wanted to show you. Actually, I'm gonna do something a little different. Um, if you're looking at this page right here, if you look at the top right, you can see the replay button. That
Oh,
replay button.
wait, Dova,
Yeah.
go replay that VKA where it went into the portal and was yanked back by the chain. I want to see how that looks.
It might be this one.
I think I did look at that one. It was very strange.
This I apparently didn't. Oh, it probably would have been this fight right here. Maybe this is the right one. I'm not sure. But we can take a look at that and we can find out. So if I go to replay, this will show the fight. If I press over here and play, it'll show the fight in real time. I can kind of zoom down and I can see like where exactly everybody was standing. I'm actually gonna zoom out a little bit. I can come over here. I can click the tank, and what that'll do is it'll give me the tank was looking this direction when this happened. I can turn on pets, I can turn off pets, NPCs, things like that. I can lower the speed, half speed, double speed, things like that. But like if we go ahead and play this, actually I want to play this a little faster. Um, let's see here. Hold on, let me do this because Pineapple wanted to see if this is the right one. No, that wasn't the right. This wasn't the right pool.
I think it was the one that I was all cautioning in that we looked at before briefly, because I believe I was there for that.
So where do you think it is?
The one that you opened before, where I was all cautioning on the Midnight Bed Banana one. I think it happened in that DKA run.
It was on. It was in our core team though, wasn't it?
Mm, I thought it was the day that we ran the bunch of trials in a row, but
Yeah, I don't think that it was the core run.
Let's see. Look at reports. So it would have been this one.
Maybe.
Can't believe how organized these logs are. He can
I
find
know.
runs.
Let's see. There's the Nightblade in there. Nightblade in there. And that's below.
Because did it cause a wipe?
Yeah, it did. No, actually, maybe I don't. Yeah, it did cause a wipe.
Because this was the clear run. Yeah.
No, this is the wipe one.
Oh, okay.
I can look at the clear. Play. Talk. Yeah, no, it wasn't one of these trials.
Oh.
But I don't want to spend too much time on that. If you guys are curious, it was kind of funny. The tank had taunt on the boss, and the tank hit this energy to go to the boat, and then the boss
No,
immediately chained him back.
there is no synergy for the boat. You just walk into the portal. So I was standing where the portal spawned. The portal spawned, it instantly sucked me into the boat, and then the boss instantly yanked me back with the chain.
Yeah, and it actually like effectively like ended portals. So like the boss didn't spawn any more ads or anything like that. It was like big brain play. It was kind of cool. But yeah, let's actually look at a Hoff run, and let's look at Pinnacle Factotum, because I kind of wanted to show how a replay could help you with this. So if you're a tank and you are struggling with the shade mechanic, the point of the tanking is that you want to make sure that you're blocking the right thing. And you can see right here that I can see the person's, this is the way that they're looking. Sorry, let me explain a little bit. These things right here, this is the ghost that the boss is, and this is the actual boss. And what people don't realize is that the boss is moving from ghost to ghost and then activating the ghost right before he does his palm strike. So if I'm looking at log, the ghost is right here, he moves to right here, and the tank, you can see he was looking over here on this factotum, and the boss went over here and he did his palm strike right here. How Titan Yasana did not die, I have no idea, actually. Let's see. Uh, I have no. Oh, that was probably a tank, so they didn't die. But that is how you can kind of look at logs and kind of see um, that which direction they're looking can actually be really helpful. These things right here, this is the top half of Hoff. So these are my portal people. They're running over here. Actually, right now they're actually running to all sides. So let's see here. Let's do that. Speed it up a little bit. Um, the boss summons his portals. People should be running up to their sides. And then they're going up. And they typically will meet down here at the south one. I can see that Dianel ran to the wrong one first. Maybe.
It was my first time up there. I was getting used to it.
Yep, but you can see the DPS is moving from here to here. You can see that everybody is standing in the right spot. They're all coming over here. They're doing that. So you can kind of see, I don't like how this does it, how it shows those layers, where it's like the bottom layer and the top layer at once, but there's not really a good way to like prevent that. The next thing, let's look at Maul. So if we look at Rakat fight for Maul, and then I look at replay of that. If you're taking live logs as a raid lead or somebody that's just like wondering what the heck is the problem, it'll actually show here's the fight where the boss happens. Here's all of backyard. And you can watch people as they run into backyard, which should be about sometime here. Okay, so then backyard pops, the DPS are running, and you can actually follow them and see like, okay, which path are they taking? Are they going the wrong direction? Did they just completely skip a completely certain different path? You can see this person's running a little bit faster than this person right here. You can kind of figure out what is kind of the holdup a little bit. But that's just something that you can do as like more of a raid lead, not necessarily as like a healer or a DPS that's just looking to try to get better. Let me think. Pretty sure that's kind of everything that I was planning on talking about. But if you guys do have like kind of specific questions, I just kind of wanted to do like an overview of like how you can find different uptimes, how you can find logs, and how you can kind of use logs to help you figure out what you're doing. Did you guys have any more questions or thoughts?
No, that was helpful for me. That's because I haven't used logs that much. So thanks.
Yeah, sure.
I think a quick explanation of the percentile number would probably be good.
The percentile number. What do you?
Like if you get a damage done.
Okay, damage done.
The parse percent. On the left.
23%. This right here. Or are you talking about this?
No,
right
no, no.
here?
No, on the left there.
That right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's this patch and not historic.
Okay.
And it compares against all public logs, and that is on that class. That is the DPS, like that's the percentage-wise where you rank in DPS. So like that one is better than 88% of mag DK parses in this fight.
So the higher the number, the better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a general, like, how well does my character stack up against other public files in the same instance?
Yeah, and I mean how well the group does matters too, because like buff up times affect your DPS dramatically. Yeah. But yeah, it is interesting, and it comes up, and people want. I've had questions about that before.
Okay, yeah. I knew it had something to do with that, but I didn't know where these came from. And honestly, I've only used logs as a way to like improve myself. Like, so I don't know. This is, I guess, for some people, be really interesting, but I've never really questioned or thought about it too much. But
sure.
Yeah. Anything else though?
The one other thing is, can you go back to healing?
Yes.
Can you? This looks like it's probably a good one for it. Can you show the difference between like how shields dramatically affect the heal numbers?
So you're talking about just going over to overhealing and then click on the individual person, or?
Even
I think
for
you don't.
because DK tanks use Igneous Shield, and so the question is like, are they actually effective for reducing to keeping yourself alive, or are the shields just like kind of buffer numbers in the log?
Let's see here. So if I go.
Yeah, I don't think you even need overhealing on for it.
Like, yeah, it's just absorbed because it's like usually you just see, oh, the DK tank healed 1,000,000 damage, but really it's just like shielding themselves for 1,000,000, but that's still like, but is that real shielding? Or I don't know how you could tell that.
Yeah, the best example of it is when I tank Cloud Rest on my Warden, I use the I don't even remember what the actual ability is called.
Shimmering Shield, but
Shimmering Shield, because it shields you from a projectile. And when you shield like Zamaja's heavy attack, it's a projectile, and so it just gives you huge healing numbers that can kind of affect how the heals look.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Because I think one specifically is like the during like healing through Baneful Mark and Cloud Rest, because right, all the healing numbers you take are reduced a lot, and sometimes you do like the healers do fail to like heal the tank up to full. And the question's like, what's actually effective? Like, could you tell from the
Effectively
logs
healing them.
what's effectively healing people
Yeah.
like through that? Because it's like I tried to tell because I know a lot of people recommend Troll King because the health recovery isn't reduced,
Hmm.
and so I tried specifically looking at like the health recovery of the tank, but it's being provided by another person, and I like try to look at the time the Baneful Mark happened and see if it's like yeah,
Oh.
because I have seen logs where it's like combat prayer only healed for 30 because like the debuff reduced it so much
Hmm.
that
Um. Yeah, I have not personally looked into those as much, probably as you guys have. Droska, let's see here. Uh,
so I think you do healing and it's like on the target, so you look at whatever tank was the Baneful Mark tank,
yeah,
and then you can see all the healing they received.
I wasn't in this
Yeah,
run, so I'm not sure which one of these guys was that baneful one.
yeah. You can also. It looks like you can click on absorbs up in the top right when you're looking at healing to kind of cut out the shields if you wanted to do that.
Yep. See, we're all learning here. So yeah, that does just completely take away all the absorbs, and this is just the straight healing that they got. So, yeah, I haven't looked into it that much, so I don't know exactly.
Yeah, because I think if you want to look at the healing to a person instead of all friendlies, you just choose the tank themselves, and then like in the yeah, a little bit below that, the all friendlies,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and you could change it to the tank, and then you could take off the from source. So at the top, or it's like the wild Afrid, whatever, and the above.
Oh, take off the
Yeah,
Yeah,
tank.
if
that
you
one.
X that, then it's all like who healed the tank during this time period. And I could see like 54% was from themselves, and then 36 was from the Horn Healer.
Okay.
And you could like look at the Baneful time, and then you could see like what heals actually saved the tank.
Hmm.
But it's always like hard to tell because it's just like trying to figure out what's actually effective. Because sometimes you just fail to heal the tank through Baneful Mark, and it's like why we didn't do anything different this time.
Let's see, what was the name of this other Droska?
Usually you have failed to heal the tank through Baneful if other people are essentially taking the heals from them because they're lower HP or whatever.
Hmm.
But I think he was more just going at like how can you look at logs to like determine that.
Yeah, like what heals were actually being pretty effective and not like.
I'm not even sure if this group even got to because I'm not seeing
Yeah,
the
I don't
HUD.
think they did.
Yeah.
Because Amaja, oh, +3, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how to quickly find a VCR +3 or a VCR quickly. I know I hate running them, so I don't run them. Oh, you know what?
We did one on that big Saturday. We did a bunch of
Yeah.
trials.
And I think that was one where we didn't get healed to full.
Yeah, on one of the
Yeah, 'cause
attempts.
we had a tank swap for the +0.
Oh wait. It was.
It was like October 1st, I believe, or 2nd.
There we go. Look at Zamaja. Look at if you look at debuffs on oh shoot.
Half a hairstylist would have
Yeah,
been.
yeah, because that was a DK.
Okay.
So
So
yeah,
debuff on have a hairstylist. Painful mark.
yeah,
So if we look at that and then put that up there and then go to healing on AFA, minusing take off absorbs. Let's see here. Okay.
Yeah, so health recovery. That's interesting.
Nice. Troll King doing work.
You can see right here though, that's when
Hmm.
healing things were taking effect for that painful.
Yeah, because I think we
And you didn't do
swapped.
anything but drink green dragon blood. You had painful, but you only had drink green dragon blood to heal yourself.
Because you're supposed to do it before you hit the synergies, because it increases your healing receipt
Yeah.
by like 16%.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, but you always panic because you just see your health at like 1,000.
But this is wait, no, sorry. Let's do that. Can I say which healer healed you, or can I say?
Oh, because like underneath so you'll see like the Templar healer. I think then you could click on the Templar healer and you could see like what healing they did. Yeah, so combat prayer was super effective
Okay.
during that time period. If you, oh yeah, and then if you still use like that time
Oh, you
one.
got hit by 2 fat breath of life.
Hmm.
Those were helpful. And if you're curious, this is
Yeah,
me as the
that's
healer.
important because it's like they healed for 20. Healed for 11,000 each during
I mean,
Baneful. So.
Mhm.
combat prayer got hit 4 times, and wait, healing springs got cast 43 times.
Hmm. Because this is for the whole fight, not during that time period. And Healing Springs has the Master Resto Staff buff, so you should be casting it every 4 seconds or so. So you overcast Healing Springs if you're running
Oh,
Master
okay.
Resto.
But I also should have been casting combat. Well, that's combat
But it's
prayer
also
on just the tank.
do you know can we check the healing the Grand Rejuvenation buff on people? Because right now it's buffed. It's bugged, so it only
Oh, it
drops
is.
underneath the healer's feet. So I want to see like did it affect like the tanks and whatnot during like this run? Because it's been bugged for this whole patch. So I think you could find under buffs for the Grand Rejuvenation one.
Let's see here.
Anyways, I'm gonna see you guys later. Take care.
Bye.
But
Look at that. I'm gonna get rid of that. What's the buff for Grand Rejuvenation called though?
I think it's called itself.
It's called Grand Rejuvenation.
Oh, and yeah, there you could see the muttoness. That's always good.
Mm-hmm.
Because the food is sometimes hard to find because I'm curious about like what people run for like trifecta runs and whatnot, and so I like try to find the food buff on the person.
I don't see a
Oh,
food
maybe it's under
buff.
resources on,
Like resources
or
what?
maybe this healer could also not be running it too. But
What?
Thanks for sharing, man. I got a jet.
Hey, yep. Thanks, man.
Peace.
Yeah.
We're kind of getting more into questions, so I'm actually gonna stop my